So we're here with Ed Timpson, the SEN Minister, who's really kindly given us some of his time today. We're going to start off first of all talking about accountability, because that's on so many people's minds. I believe there is some kind of system planned for later on this year, but by then thousands of children, including ours, will have been transferred, and parents will have had to go back to the code of practice to see what's going on. They don't necessarily know what's in the code of practice, and how do they know how to get feedback back to yourself?
Well, I think the most important thing is that parents know what's happening in their local area, and so that transparency and that accountability has to be at the heart of the new system, and that's why we're looking at, for the first time, a long-term accountability framework that helps meet that objective. But of course, whilst we do that, we need to make sure that there are ways of us understanding as to whether the experience of parents is changing on the ground, and that they've got opportunities to let us know how it is affecting them, hopefully in a positive way, but where it is still not making a difference, why that is the case. As you say, there is the code of practice, but one of the reasons why we've also introduced a network of independent supporters is so that there is someone on the ground in their local area who can help talk them through what it is they should be expecting from the local authority, from the health providers, from their school, and if they're not, what they can do about putting that right. But we've also made sure in the very early stages of implementation that we know directly at the department what's happening in each local authority area. So we've taken on a group of professional special educational needs advisors who are looking at not just the legal requirements being met by local authorities, but also the spirit of the reforms, and that they are being reflected in the changing relationships between parents and families and the professionals who are there to help them. And that's giving us some really good feedback on how things are starting to bed in. So there are a number of ways that parents can do that. Of course, if we think there are other ways that we can help give parents an opportunity to provide a better way of giving their sense of whether things have changed or not for them and their family, then we can certainly look at that. But there's lots of information that's coming through which is helping inform us as to whether the changes are starting to be reflected in the practice on the ground. But of course, the more information we have, the better.
But how did those parents contact these advisors?
Well, we have all the parent carer forums, and we also have through the Contact to Family helpline. We've spoken to the helplines that are available, as well as the support services that are in each local authority area, to find out from them what parents are telling them. So some of that is direct feedback, other information is that's been collated by Contact to Family or by those parent carer forums, and that's giving us a readout of experiences of families right across the country. But the one thing I do want to make sure, and this is for me in very many ways an acid test of whether the reforms are working or not, is how we reach those parents who sometimes don't always find it easy to find lines of communication that they feel comfortable using to share their experience with. And so we need to work with local authorities through the SEN advisors, through the National Network of Parent Carer Forums, to make sure that all those parents who do need that voice to be heard are getting the opportunity to do so. And if they do get that opportunity, then I think we will have a better reflection of whether things are changing or not.
Well, you said framework before. Is that Ofsted?
Yes, what we've done is we've looked at what there currently is in terms of accountability, and there's never been a homogenous accountability framework for special educational needs provision. And so we've spoken to Ofsted, asked them to look at how we can come up with an inspection framework that meets that requirement. And what we're looking at is a framework that includes Ofsted as well as the CQC, because the buy-in and involvement of health is absolutely essential, but also a local authority official from an area where they have a good record in special education needs provision, so that they're capturing all aspects of support but from the perspective of the family and the child themselves, rather than from the individual services. So for the first time, we will get a more holistic readout of whether the experience of families is improving or not.
And how are you going to make sure that the information is getting to the families in the first place so they know that they can feed back and the correct path that they should take?
Well, I've touched on the work of the parent carer forums, and one of the reasons why we've continued to fund them through for another year, through to 15-16, is because where they do have a good relationship with their local authority, that has proved to be a pivotal forum for making sure that parents' views are fed back to the local authority, but also that they're listened to and they're acted upon. So that's one way that parents can continue to do that. I've mentioned the support services, which are independent. We also have the independent supporters that we've introduced for the first time, and I'll be paying a visit in a few weeks' time to go and see the impact that's having for some families down on the south coast, so that they have for the first time that very bespoke individual but also independent support that will give them an opportunity to say, first of all, this is what it is like for us, but also what is it that I can do to try and make it better, not just for my family, but for other families as well, so from that sort of strategic level, so that so parents really are at the heart of the system. But over and above that, we are still in the early stages of implementation, making sure that through the special educational needs advisors, that where there are issues that are emerging from individual local authorities, we get an early warning system, if you like, from parents and from users of those services, so that we can discuss those with the relevant authority and make sure that they are seeking to try and improve whatever shortfall that there is.
What I was thinking is more perhaps the very, very early stages, so perhaps before you know about parent care forums, before you know about the support systems that are out there,
yeah,
finding those families as they're coming into the system. I was wondering whether there are any strategies to actually reach out to those families, or perhaps families who aren't connected to the internet or have English as a second language, and whether you actually have any strategies in place.
Well, we have a number of different levels of information available. First of all, centrally from government. So we have produced materials which are specifically for parents to try and explain to them this is what the new system looks like, this is the level of involvement that you can expect to have, this is where you can turn to if things are not happening in the way that they should. But we've also been working with Contact a Family to make sure that they have their networks providing materials which are also very user-friendly for parents. As well as the independent supporters themselves on the ground who can work with those individual families who need that extra support around them than some other families in their area. So there are routes in and information available at different levels, whether it is gov.uk if you are on the web. If you're not, then there are the helplines that are available in order to provide you that information. And there are those organisations in your local area that you can reach out to. Of course, we have the published local offers as well, which I'm sure we'll come on to, which provide that information too. So there are lots of routes in and lots of different levels of support available, which we hope has encapsulated all the need that's out there. But of course, we're always looking to see if we can improve.